Hey guys, welcome to a live video from betfairtradingcommunity.com. Obviously with me, your host Martin. I'm just basically going to answer a few questions today and go through some of the comments that we've had on our channel this week that we'd like to address. To an update on the strategies and the software at the moment, which I know a lot of you guys are asking about. So yeah, let's just crack on with it. This is a random live. I was supposed to upload a video. I've got a few videos ready to upload, but I was just too tired earlier. I was like, oh, I need to turn my computer off. My brain's turning to mush. I had a big pizza and a bunch of like fake Dr. Pepper that they sell in Aldi. I think it's called Professor Peppy. Has anyone had that? It's actually pretty good. Tastes exactly the same to me. And yeah, so that sort of jacked me up a bit for tonight. I was also listening to some Justin Timberlake old school music, which, you know, is a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, but I haven't listened to it in a long time, actually. I was going to sing some for an intro, but I thought probably not the best idea. Yes, Diane Kono. That's what I don't know how to say your name, but that's what I like to hear. Actually, I'll put this on the live stream so people can see it. That's what we like to hear, isn't it? Stop everything to come and watch me live when I'm exhausted at the end of a very long day. So for those of you who don't know, I've got a couple of kids, both under 6 and 6 and under. And yeah, they take up a lot of energy. But I find as well, right, having a job, obviously, you know, doing the B2C stuff, but obviously trading on Betfair as well, but also taking the kids to school and back. I swear that is like a little mini job in itself. Does anyone else do the school run or has done the school run? It's just like, it's such a joy. And every day, you know, part of the beauty of being a professional trader on Betfair is that I didn't have to go and do things at a certain time. You know, I worked from home. Now I've got to be like, oh, I've got to be up and ready, you know, early to take my kids to school. And then I've got to kind of, you know, come back in between, do what I can, look after the other kid, and then get back out again, you know, at like 2:30, 3 or whatever. And it's just like, yeah, it's, I swear, I think we should get like some sort of payment for taking our kids to school, really. It just becomes a massive chore unless you've got family, like older relatives in the area, which I don't have that luxury, I'm afraid. What stakes do you usually use? Is it 10? I don't use £10 stick. All right. So I don't know why people think that. Well, I know why people think it, but I don't know why anyone would think that anyone could make like a living off. I mean, if you're making a living off £10 stakes, all I'll say is well done to you. I use £10 stakes as my example for testing strategies. So in my spreadsheets, when I start testing a strategy, I just do them all to £10 stakes. The reason is it's very, very easy to do the maths, right? But also it doesn't overemphasize it. You know, if I did £100, £200 stakes on a spreadsheet, that would look really impressive to all you guys, but it wouldn't really be particularly relevant to your level of trading unless you're already up to that pro level. So I much rather do things at your level where I'm not encouraging you to overbet or overtrade, because so many people, so many traders, good traders, by the way, go by the wayside because they come in, they go, I've saved up £5,000, so I'm going to use £100 bankroll, £100 per trade. And it's amazing how quickly that can go wrong if you don't know what you're doing. So yeah, I don't use £10 stakes. Yes, Donna totally gets it. I have a 1 hour school run round trip twice a day. My God, an hour. I mean, mine, you know, mine probably isn't far off. So let's think, I leave in the morning, I leave at 8:35 and I get back. It's probably about 45 minutes for me, 50 minutes. Annoyingly, we moved after applying for schools and stuff. So I've literally got a primary school on my road, but it was full. So I have to drive like 2 miles. I mean, it's not that bad, really. Drive 2 miles, you know, basically through like a little village. So it's not exactly, it takes me about 5-10 minutes to drive there. So it's not too bad. Seanie Moonboat. I love that name, by the way, Seanie Moonboat. In the videos there, 10. This actually leads into one of the questions I've got, what Sean's asking here, because on my videos, I basically use a dummy, or not a dummy account, but I've got a Betfair account that I use for the live trading videos. I hardly put any money in that account actually. And the reason is actually I did get early on in doing this. I mean, I've been doing this, 10 years now, Betfair trading community, maybe a little bit less, maybe like 8 years. But basically, I got legal advice after a while because I was like, well, I had an incident basically where I shared a trade and then somehow my account got hacked. And obviously, this is my livelihood, so I can't muck about with it. So I've always been, basically, I got legal advice and they said you shouldn't really share your real account. You shouldn't share the main one you use because obviously people are getting details. And I didn't realize this, but actually, even when you place a bet, you can work out which bet it is because they all have like their own reference numbers and stuff. I don't know if you've noticed that in the trading. So yeah, basically I just use a bit of a dummy account. And I mainly use small stakes to help you guys as well, because what's the point of me showing you, like I've seen people, I really hate this, by the way. I loathe it when people put thousands of pounds on a YouTube video and they go, oh, wow, look, I'm the best trader in the world. I'm thinking, how does that actually help the trader you're trying to help? Because all you're really doing is encouraging them to basically bet at a level they're nowhere near. And again, I've seen so many horror stories of people who've come in all guns blazing. Yeah, I'm going to put on these massive stakes. Look what this YouTuber does. I can be like that. And then they lose like their life savings and stuff, and it's crazy. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to talk a bit more about that question because Ryan gets asked that a lot about why he doesn't show his trading. What time are you up in the morning? I'm up in the morning early. 5 is pretty much the latest I get up every day, often 4, 4:30. I've always been quite an early riser, not that early, but when you have kids, things change. But yeah, I've always been quite an early riser. So I do like to get up early, get a lot of my work done before the school run. Then I can kind of decide, do I want to work between the school run? And then, or do I want to not work then and do the rest of my work in the evening? I like having that flexibility around my work. How many strategies do I actively trade? I trade, it depends. I mean, obviously I've got a few sports I'll trade on. Football is about, I think it's about 5 or 6. I could actually count because it's on the sheets, isn't it? But yeah, horse racing is only a couple. I don't dip into horses as much at the moment. We're still, we've only just released that software, so I'm still building up some strategies. Actually, there was some really good dobbing strategies released by members today on the forum. So if you are a member, go over to the forum, check out the horse race. I think it was on the horse racing thread, the main one. I'm going to look through those because they look absolutely ace from what I've seen. And yeah, the more kind of dobbing strategies and things like that. There's a couple of things I'm loving at the moment. I love dobbing on the horses. I always have. I love the idea of that kind of low risk style of, well, if I can beat it more than like 50% of the time, I'm going to make money. But the other thing I like is the late goals. And if you watch my video this week, and if you didn't, go and watch it. I did a video on that. I think I called it Super Late Goals video. But it's this strategy. It's been adapted from one that one of the members shared with us, and it's just done phenomenally well. And we've actually got a bot now set up to run the strategy, so it's actually really easy to do. And yeah, absolutely loving that. Wow, getting quite a lot of questions here. That's good. When you're at the screen, what does your trading day generally look like? Mixture of horses and football in the evenings. Well, a lot of it now is set and forget. So a lot of my stuff I can place in the morning. It's not easy to place stuff early morning. Okay, so if you're trying to play stuff at like 5 a.m., it's probably too early. When you get to like kind of 8, 9, a little bit later, especially if they're evening games. If you're working, I'd recommend trying to get on them after work if you can, or in your lunch break, trying to figure that out, because I think that you just want the market to be more liquid. So yeah, it just depends what's on really. The horse stuff is set and forget, so I'm not sat at the screen for that, and a lot of the football is now as well. So yeah, but yeah, I mean the football will be when it's on, so evenings in the week and weekends obviously during the day. Ken Paine, I use either 2% or 4% usually, whether that's £10 or 100. Well, this is the point. This is such a good point, Ken. I mean, it's genius what he said here, because the thing is, it doesn't really matter what stakes you're using to an extent in terms of showing people how to run a strategy. What's important is the percentage, the money, the strike rate that you're actually making in terms of a percentage. Because, if you, let's say you make £10 on a trade, but you're using £10 stakes. Well, you've used the exact same process as you would on the £100 trade that you've made £100 on. So it's exactly the same thing. So people can get too caught up in, what sort of stakes and stuff like that. What you really want to focus on, especially to work out if a strategy is any good, is what's your strike rate? What's the percentages you're making? I had a question today. A guy asked me, he said, I'm making £6 on my winning trades, but I'm losing £10 on my losing ones on average. And he said, but I'm making good profit, but should I be concerned that I'm losing 10, but I'm only making 6? And I said, well, you need more than a 60% strike rate in that case. And if you're getting above 60%, which you clearly are because you're making money, then that's brilliant. You've got nothing to worry about. Test the strategy. As long as the strategy is tested thoroughly and you're fairly sure that it's a good strategy, then there's absolutely no reason not to carry on with that. I think we can get too het up about like certain amounts and things like that. But really what you've got to look at more than that is the mathematics side of it. Yeah. If it's making profit, it's doing the right thing. Okay. And it doesn't really matter what the odds are in that case. I think traders can get obsessed with that stuff. Daft the clock, same as other parents. Cheers for the answers. Is there dobbing picks in the horse software? Legend, thanks for answering. Seanie boy, yes, there is a dobbing strategy. Actually, John's one. It's actually really good. I think it's been making consistent profit over the last few months. It's on my horse racing spreadsheet. So if you go on the horse racing on the forum and just go on the horse racing, or just go on any of my posts, I basically have the spreadsheet in my signature. So you can get, and a lot of people don't realize this, but you can just go on the signature, click my spreadsheet. I think it only appears online. So if you do it on your phone, I don't think you see the spreadsheet, because obviously when the forum switches to mobile, it has to kind of diminish things a little bit. But yeah, basically you can see it on that spreadsheet. But I think it's been making like 4 or 5 points a month on average. And it's pretty slow and steady, but it's very low variance so far, which is what I like in trading. I'm actually pretty risk averse. Is it really necessary to only trade 1 to 2% stake? I've never encountered more than 5 to 6 losses in a row. 2% stake is 50 trades back up. This depends how you're trading. So if you're doing set and forget, which is basically betting really rather than trading, then 1 to 2% is actually quite high. But if let's say you're just tick trading, you could trade more than 2%. You could put that up to like 20%. Let's say you're doing pre-match scalping, right? You could trade 20% of your bankroll, but with the caveat that you must get out of that trade. You must A, have a stop loss, and B, get out of that trade before the start. Because I've had people, they do this and then they go, especially on horses, I don't know what it is with horses, I think people don't like taking a loss. And then the race they'll go, well, I had to let the race start and I just thought I'd try and get it in play, and it didn't happen. I lost 20% of my bankroll. And it's like, bloody hell, like, that's crazy. You can't be risking that kind of money. But honestly, SC, it's up to you, essentially. If you want to take more of a risk with your staking, only you really know what you're comfortable with. I can only say what I'm comfortable with. If you're doing this as a hobby and you are comfortable with it, then I guess that's okay. I mean, you're the agent of your own choice, right? But as I do this for a living, I'm basically trying. I always think of trading like this. I think it's a really good way to look at trading. Try to take the least risk possible to get the profitable outcome. What we want to do is mitigate as much of the risk as we can. Okay, there's always going to be a luck factor, but we know that if we mitigate the risk as much as we can, our skill factor will override the luck factor, right? Again, simple mathematics. That's why the winners keep winning. So that's what I suggest in that situation. But like I said, it's up to you. Could you share info about the late goal strat? Which stats you look for? Casper, get on the forum. I literally started a thread on this yesterday. If you watched the video that I did on the late goals, I actually sent that to people. Anyone who said, I think it was strategy in the comments, or strategy, I sent it to them. So you can actually see it. Go click on that and you'll actually get a link to the forum post. The forum post actually has, I think it's got the bot in it as well now, or I'll add it after this if it hasn't. But it's got the bot in it. It's got the filter. You can literally download the filter and then upload it to your own software so that you can see the filter. So you'll be able to see all the stats, etc. Did I not? No, I didn't go into this kind of the filter in the video, did I? I'll do that on another one in the future. I mean, if it keeps doing well. I do want more data on it, but Stephen, who I adapted it from, has been testing it for ages. So, there's an expectation that it won't drop off because it's been so well tested. However, I still do like to get my own set of data. And on a strategy like that, there's quite a few selections a week. So it won't take long before you've got a decent bank of data. Seanie, I think higher stakes may be more difficult to get matched. That is correct, especially in the more obscure like races or football matches. So yeah, I mean, in general, in my strategies, I do lean towards the bigger leagues, but I do still include some of the smaller ones. You will get matched even at £100, £200 stakes in general, unless the match is a really small league. But it just might take a little bit of work. Like you might have to leave it for a while, or maybe adjust the price slightly. Working out where your limit is with that stuff becomes more important, But again, all of my strategies, they use minimum odds. So I know what my minimum odds are. And if the odds move away from that, I'm not going to trade it. So, if I can, let's say I've got a trade that I was going to make and I wanted to get £100 stake matched on it. But at the odds I wanted, I could only get £25. I'll just take that £25 because I'm still getting money in a value position. But if the rest of the money I can't get on at that price or a good price that I want, I'm not going to take bad value just to fill the stake out and go, oh, well, I need to get the £100 matched. Again, it's maths. You want to always stick with the maths, I find. Lance Jones, I'm finding it hard to stick to one strategy. Any tips in staying with one or two? Thanks. Well, I mean, why are you finding it hard? I could do with a little bit more information there. I mean, at the start, one or two strategies is the way to go. Not because later on you shouldn't adapt your portfolio. Of course, you want to kind of have a broad portfolio. I mean, I'd say you want to have kind of up to 10 solid strategies that you're actively trading. You don't have to trade every trade of those strategies, but at least have that kind of bank, basically that kind of portfolio in the bank, so to speak, because it minimizes variance. But when you're starting out, you need to learn strategies. Okay, you need to learn how to deal with them. You need to learn how to test them, etc., etc. It's no good trying to do an overload of strategies. So what I'd say is just believe in the process, because it's not one that Ryan has come up with randomly. It's from years and years of testing with essentially different students that we've taught trading to and seeing what's actually helped them. Everything we do has come from seeing what's helped them. We have a meeting every week, me, Ryan, and Adam, and we're always thrashing out this stuff, trying to work out, okay, what's been happening with traders this week? What have traders been struggling with? How can we help them? Because essentially, all we really are interested in is making you guys money. So I'll quite often say, because I know people can get fixated on me and Ryan as traders and things like that, and I'll always say to people, well, at the end of the day, what I am, what Ryan is, it doesn't actually matter, right? It doesn't really matter to you. It makes no difference, because it's all well and good. I had a really amazing trading weekend this weekend. If you followed the tips I sent out, you would have as well. But from a trader perspective, it doesn't help you particularly to know that I had a really, really good weekend, does it? How does that help you as a trader? So what I'm really keen on is getting that kind of, because I think a lot of people, especially like YouTubers who do similar to what we do, they're very focused on themselves. They seem to have these kind of massive egos about how amazing they are. I don't really get it. But anyway, I'm not really like that. I kind of find that stuff cringeworthy. So I kind of try and flip it. And I say, well, what about putting the focus on you guys? What about actually trying to make you guys money rather than trying to show off on YouTube? Because I think it makes me, I don't know, a better person or whatever. So yeah, essentially, I think sticking to one or two strategies when you start out is key because of the learning process. Remember, you're still learning at that stage. You can adapt that later on. But where are you at? Like, do you feel like you've really mastered how to do a strategy? Because if you do, then yeah, sure. If you want to expand out, start to expand out. Diane Konescu. What strategy should we use for matches in the elimination system? I assume by elimination system you mean like cup matches, because you're saying Europa League and World Cup. So basically matches where you can get knocked out. What strategy? Well, I actually talked about my World Cup strategy. If you listen to the podcast I did, it was kind of like a live video podcast, actually, wasn't it? Because it was me. Sorry, it was me and Ryan on video about a week ago, I think, last Wednesday. So if you do get a chance to watch that video, go and watch that. But basically, I run in these competitions, I run a first half goal strategy that I'm going to use in the World Cup that does really well. And basically, if a game's really lively, looks like a goal's going to be scored, I get on a goal at about 15 to 20 minutes in the first half. I'll enter, because often you're actually getting really high odds. Like in the Euros, I was getting close to evens at that point, which is crazy, really, with so much time left in the half. And often it was coming in. So yeah, especially in the group games. Now in the knockouts, I'd probably be more wary because teams do tend to kind of tighten up in those situations. And watch game flow. So one of the trades I made, bit of a trade-to-ready trade, was backing Italy when England were 1-0 up and Italy was so clearly on top in the match in the Euros. And, England were heavy odds on at that point. I think they're around 1.5. And it was such an easy lay situation because the goal just looked inevitable. And it's unfortunate because obviously I was desperate for England to win. But, head always rules over heart for me. And that was a clear example I can give you. But so think about when you're watching the matches in the next month, where's the momentum going? Is it clear? Like, is the team leading, clearly getting dominated here? And there's a real chance the other team could score. You should be surprised how often that will happen and how good the odds you can get are. So yeah, I don't know, some idiot comments in here. Block him. Off to bed now. Sean, where are you if you're off to bed? Early in the morning, up early in the morning. Have a good one. All right, Sean, take care, buddy. Greetings from Dublin. Hey, I might be going to Dublin next year, Shane. I might go to, I've got an Airbnb actually booked in somewhere in Dublin. I can't remember what it's called, the place, but it's near the stadium, the Aviva Stadium, because I might go to the Notre Dame Navy College game. I'm not 100% sure if I'll go yet. I need to get tickets and stuff sorted, obviously. But yeah, no, we'll have to have a drink or something when I go down there. Yeah, I mean, I don't ever mind laying at short odds. By the way, if you're into cricket at all or just making money, check out the cricket thread because Nathan, Matt, and a couple of the other guys in there just doing incredible work at the moment. And, I don't really get into cricket as much as I should, but those guys are doing really well. And basically the basis of what they do is laying at short odds when the market decides this game's over, and invariably the market's gone too early with that. And I mean, Matt was talking to me about how much money he'd made over the Cricket World Cup, the T20 Cricket World Cup, and I was pretty impressed. But yeah, Shane, we'll do something. You live near the stadium? Yeah, I think where I'm staying is about a 20-minute walk to the stadium, because my thought was, if I'm going to Ireland to watch a game, the last thing I want to do is then have to get transport to the game. I want to be able to walk because I know how much of a ball ache it is just getting to Wembley, to watch the NFL games. And you get a train down there, but when you get to London, it's like a whole nother trip basically to get to the stadium. It's so much hard work. Obviously so many people as well trying to get on the trains and stuff. It's just it's a hell of a long, tiring day. So I thought it'd be nice just, stroll down when you want, go and see the atmosphere and stuff. It should be good. Lance answering, yes, I feel like master 1 or 2, but then chase a trade with a strategy that's maybe not the best trade to do. Well, why are you making a trade that isn't the best trade to do? Well, why isn't it the best? Is it because it wasn't actually on your strategies? Because here it makes it sound like it is on your strategy. I don't know, but never chase trades or losses. Remember as well, there's always another day to trade. In the early days, I think that's one of the things I struggle with. I always kind of thought, oh no, I need to make the money today, right now. And then if I lost money that day, I'd chase losses because I was like, oh no, I need to make them. And then I woke up the next day feeling like an idiot because I was like, there's so many great opportunities today. Why was I so desperate to make money then? And, I've blown all my money when today I could have gone and traded again properly and done all right. And you'll be amazed how often, if you do resist the temptation of chase, you just trade normally for the next week or so, you will get back into a good position again, because that's the strength of having good strategies, essentially. You don't need to push or force anything. Shane, obsessed with T20. It's a great game. There's no doubt about that. I love T20. I even like the ODIs, the normal ones. I enjoy the fact you actually get a result in a day. I like some test match cricket, but I just can't watch all it. And the funny thing is, I probably trade it more than I watch it, because you do get good opportunities in the test matches. Do you trade tennis? I don't actively trade tennis at the moment. Ryan's a bit more on that front than me. My favorite strategy is lay the first set winner. I actually created a pretty good strategy on that on the software. But no, tennis, I don't trade that at the moment. Loving this live Q&A, top man. Nice one. I haven't even started on what I wanted to talk about yet, funny enough. But yeah, so I'm going to get into some of that stuff now. Right. So I've done it today. I was really excited. This is so like geeky or losery, but I was really excited today because I realized a lot of the top leagues are stopping. So I was like, wow, today I can actually crack on with doing some updates on my strategies. I can look at the data. I've got a really good data set now, from early in the year all the way up to what is now going to be the end of the year. And actually, I was going through the strategies, updating them, removing some of the leagues that just weren't working for them. And I've updated on the Set and Forget football thread on the forum. I've updated every strategy on there. So if you want my current version, go on there and download the ones that I've uploaded on there today. They're in the opening post, so you can't miss them. And essentially they're all updated now to the ones I'm doing. So, if you hopefully won't get so much of a situation of, oh, I've got a different strat selection to you today, because you'll have all the updated leagues that I'm trading. The other thing, obviously, the back testing on the football software. We're hard at work with that. We haven't got a date on releasing that yet, but we're excited. Adam showed me a few pictures of it. It looks really good. I haven't had a chance to play with it yet. I don't think it's in a state to have a go yet, but hopefully it's not too far off. I'll speak to Adam on Wednesday. Sorry, there's something in my throat here. I've got any water? Oh, I've got some water, thank God. Do you like my cup? It's got these bears on. Are they from like Clinton Cards or something? I used to always buy cards from there when I was a kid. The stadium is very accessible, not like a long journey out to Wembley. Well, that's good. On the Buffalo Bills for the Super Bowl. Do you know what? I've got a feeling the Bills are going to come good. I'm a Miami Dolphins. Actually, you can't see this, can you? Can I take the... Yeah, let's see if I can hide that again. You can see. Come on, the Dolphins. Wow, what they're doing well this season. But yeah, so I kind of know that the Bills are going to still win that division. I think there's something wrong with Josh Allen. I think he's a bit injured at the moment. I still think the Bills are the favourites for me. Maybe I'm crazy, but they were like this in the regular season last year, and look how close they came to beating the Chiefs in the playoffs. They seemed to raise their game once the playoffs came around, and I feel like sometimes when a team is that good or has that good a quarterback, they kind of know they're going to get to the playoffs. So look at like Mahomes. Some weeks they have terrible results, the Kansas City Chiefs, but I feel like they're not quite as motivated in the regular season. I mean, New England are always a bit like that. They'd lose some really strong. They lost quite a lot of games to the Dolphins during their kind of dominant runs in the Super Bowls and things. They lost quite a lot to the Dolphins in the regular season, but it didn't really matter. As long as they made the playoffs, you felt they've got a really good chance. I feel that way about the Bills. Lance, good point. I think I'm forcing a trade. Yeah, never force a trade. There'll always be other trades out there. I mean, so I started trading when I was 16, which was nearly 20 years ago now. So can you imagine how many matches have happened since that day? Football, tennis, cricket, horse racing races, whatever. Millions, right? There's so many opportunities you will get in trading. People worry way too much about the day-to-day stuff. Ryan reminds me of Ben Stokes. Well, maybe he's the Ben Stokes of Betfair. Reliable, steady, gets the job done. That's actually quite good. I hope he's watching this. Probably not, but I'll message him and say you need to caption that for something. Yeah, Tua is rocking. Do you know what? Tua. No one's talking about Macdonald for Coach of the Year, which is mad. People are talking about Daboll, isn't it, from the Giants, and he has done a phenomenal job. But Macdonald has taken a franchise that people forget were dragged through the mud in the off season. All these allegations about trying to tank games, and they lost their first round draft pick for trying to tamper with Tom Brady. The coach was suing them not for discrimination, but that was the league he sued for. It was kind of because he wasn't accusing them of racism, because obviously they hired him. So why would Dolphins hire a black coach? I thought it doesn't really make sense if they're racist. But I think he was basically saying that asking him to tank was just really disrespectful, and I think they tried to bribe him to tank and stuff, which is pretty messed up, I must admit. But yeah, so Macdonald's done an incredible job to turn all that around. Tom Brady and the Bucs. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see the Bucs. I'd be very surprised if they win it. Tyreek, great player. I'll give you that. Great player. Okay, so I kind of talked a bit about one of the things I wanted to talk about. Okay, I had an interesting, because we get interesting comments sometimes on our videos, and I thought I'll pick out a couple that kind of stood out to me this week. And one of them was from a guy called Dan. He doesn't have a surname on there for some reason, but it just basically said, why does anyone share? Why do you share information or good strategies? Surely just keep it to yourself. And I thought, when we first started out, BetfairTradingCommunity.com, we got a review where someone actually said this exact thing. He said, BetfairTradingCommunity.com will not work, and that it won't survive very long because essentially no one's going to share with each other. Well, I mean, how wrong was that person? But the thing is, and this is the reply I gave to Dan, that because I thought, well, there's some obvious answers here, but I'm going to kind of think outside the box for an answer and give him something a little bit different to what I've said before. What I've noticed is that the people who share and work together as part of a team with BetfairTradingCommunity.com, work with me and Ryan, and we work together. We kind of push ourselves to become better traders all the time, right? I mean, I'm getting pushed all the time. I'm pushing Ryan, he's pushing me. Members are pushing me to be a better trader, and that's definitely helped my trading. I've found that the people who have success in trading are the people that actually work together, work with people, talk to people, network. It's pretty basic. Like if you look at successful business people, entrepreneurs, that's what they do. They don't just sit in a room alone, not sharing. Oh, let's just keep everything to myself. So when you actually think about it that way, it kind of makes sense that people would do it. But also, look at who the successful traders are on BetfairTradingCommunity.com. They are the ones who contribute. They're the ones who actively get involved, ask questions, talk to people. Now, just because you might not have great insight on trading yet, maybe you're a newer trader, doesn't mean you still can't get involved and ask those questions, have discussions and talk with people. And I feel like, especially in a profession where it's quite lonely, where you're sitting in front of a computer screen all day, it's really, really important for you to have that kind of social interaction within your working sphere. Because if you think about it, most of us aren't going to have people in our everyday lives who know much about trading. Probably the person, obviously my dad knows a lot about it, but probably the person who knows the most about trading other than him is my wife, just because of the amount I've told her about it. But she's not got any interest in it. So you're not likely to have that in your everyday life from friends and family. You can talk to them about it. They're not really going to understand. They're not going to have the same passion, desire as you. So they're not really going to help you grow. And it's interesting because I remember there was this study that came out a few years ago, and you can look this up. It's quite a well-known thing that you're most like the 5 people you spend your time with or you hang around with. And the thing is, if you want to get good at trading, you should be hanging around with people who are good at trading. And I think one of the things that separated BetfairTradingCommunity.com from rival products and people who tried to set up and kind of just basically crashed and burned is that we're accessible. Me and Ryan and Adam, we're accessible. We're willing to talk and work with you. You will actually talk to us. You'll get, like here, you'll get questions and answers from us. Now, yeah, it's hard work. We do put a lot of time in for you guys, but for me, it's worth it. I'll give you an example why. The amount of stories I've had where someone will come to me after a few months and say, Martin, you've changed my life. I'm making money. I was losing money, and now I'm actually making a profit on a monthly basis, and it's made a massive difference to my life. You can't put a price on that as a person to actually help people. And so, because my wife came back from work today and she works in NHS, and she'd actually helped a child learn to talk, someone who was severely autistic. And the mother was so grateful. And I'm thinking, God, she's actually doing good work, helping people. And I thought, well, what do? Well, I just teach people to gamble and trade on Betfair. But the reality is, actually, it is changing people's lives. And that's such a crucial thing to me. So, I think sharing, helping people, I think ultimately we all enjoy it as well. Like, I love being part of a community. I like doing the Survivor. We have loads of those Survivor competitions, don't we, where we have to pick a team each week, and if it wins, you get through to the next round, and if not, you're out. And they're really competitive. We've had some really good runs in those, in the football and the NFL ones that we're running. And we've got a World Cup one coming up, so get involved in that. I sent an email out about that today. But yeah, if we get like 50 entrants, I'll put some sort of like voucher into the prize pool as well, because it'll be worth doing. And we'll have some fun with that. Basically, you could win the World Cup, if you can pick a team for those 7 matches and they win, and you just pick one each round. You can't use the same team twice. That's the kind of jeopardy of it, but it's great fun. So I just love being a part of that. That's basically why I think people share and why they should share. But you don't have to. You can, if you really want to, you could just come on BetfairTradingCommunity.com, soak up all the info, never talk to anyone. But I think you'd be missing out on a lot. On this last comment that I'm going to talk about now is misinformation. It's amazing the amount of misinformation that people say. And I had a comment today on YouTube, and the guy had written, I haven't got his name, sorry, but what video was it on? I think it was in my horse racing video I did yesterday. So if you just go back and watch that, or look at the comments, you'll see this guy's comment. He started going on. It's like a literal essay of a comment. He's going on and on about cost of BTC. And I was thinking, he's basically saying how amazing the software was, but that it was way too expensive. And I was thinking, but hang on, this stuff costs a lot of money. We don't really charge that much a month. And our rivals actually charge almost double what we charge. But then I realized he's saying it was £1,200 a month. I was like, where the hell has he got this information from? I was thinking, it's half that for a year. So I was thinking, well, he can't even be talking about yearly. So I don't know. But somehow people get hold of terrible information. And at the moment, I mean, the horse racing, what is it, 50 quid plus VAT a month? So I don't know where he's got that info from, but it does make me laugh how many people get misinformation. So one thing I'd say, if you haven't been a member of betfairtradingcommunity.com and you're wondering what the fuss is about, we specifically designed a membership for you, and that is the 1 and 2 day passes. We didn't used to do that. It was the monthly or nothing, but we got a lot of feedback. People were like, well, I just really want to see the inside before I commit. So we said, all right, I'm not a massive fan of having people in for 1 or 2 days because I don't really know what they gain from it other than seeing what it is. But I guess for a lot of people, seeing what it is important. So go and do that. Just go and do a 1 day, 2 day thing and see if it's for you. Because if it is, it might change your trading life. And if it's not, well, and it hasn't really cost you anything. So anyway, there were some quite fun comments I had this week. What method will you be using on the World Cup group games? Oh, if you were listening earlier, you would have heard. So go back after this live stream and watch the early part. But it's basically a first half goal strategy. But I did mention some of the things that I'm going to use. Shane Martin is correct. Thank you. It's a very insular world. And unfortunately, if you mention the word betting, oh, man, you're so right here. It gets the risk of reckless connotations. Plus, right now, the industry is under constant scrutiny. It makes me laugh. In America, it's funny because people are really like, oh, America's really anti-gambling. It's not really like it is in terms of the law. But when you actually look at the kind of media and things like that, they're always trying to encourage you to gamble, place bets, bet on the spreads, things like that. They're obsessed with it. Because they get that most of us can do it sensibly. And that's the truth, right? Most people are not addicted gamblers who gamble. And it's like anything in life. My view is always, why should the few ruin it for the many? It's like football fans, right? When football fans act like hooligans, and everyone just wants to come on and lambast that fan group as if it's the whole fan group. And you think, no, it's just a handful of idiots who haven't got a clue, probably just poorly educated about everything and think they're clever for doing it. But yet, why would everyone else get lumped into that category? And that's what frustrates me about betting or gambling, because people don't understand what we do. And if they did, they would totally respect what we do, because what we do is nothing different to what people are doing in the stock market every day. What we do is no different to taking risks in any area of your life where it's controlled, sensible risk. If you buy a house, that's actually a much bigger risk. But people will never tell you that because it's socially acceptable to take that risk. It's socially acceptable to take other risks in life, which is a shame. It's just the way it is. But yeah, I don't think it's ever going to change. And I think you get used to it. I'm not really that bothered. In fact, a lot of the time I used to kind of preface what I'd say with, oh, well, I do this for a living, kind of almost make a joke out of it, because I knew people would think, well, how can you do that for a living? Or you'd either get two subsets of people, one where they're like really excited, like, you can really do a living from that. That sounds amazing. And the people who are just like, oh, you do that for a living? That's disgraceful. And it's like, well, it's not really disgraceful, is it? I mean, there's a lot worse professions I can think of, that's for sure. By the way, nice video on laying a horse with a string of second places. Yeah, that's the thing. When a horse is short odds and they haven't won many races, I always just think that is a great opportunity. And of course, some will win the race. But I want to see, again, this comes down to the mitigating risk factor. I want to see something happen before I believe it will happen. So it's no good telling me a horse is really good and it's going to win the race when it's raced 10 times and it hasn't won, right? I want to see the proof of the... Now, if it then goes and wins a couple of races, I'll hold my hands up and say, okay, this horse is good. This horse has won. They've proven the process. That's fine. I'm not going to go against it. But when they haven't, I'll always take that on. You get it in a lot of sports. So a good example of this would be Alcaraz in the French Open this year, where he was actually favourite to win the French Open. Ignoring, people like Nadal, who's won it umpteen times, all that stuff. Djokovic, again, won it a few times, won an incredible amount of Grand Slams. It was ridiculous that he was favourite. And it was the most layable opportunity I've ever seen in tennis, because why would you have someone who's not proven it? And you've got two legends of the game playing. You've got other people who've done more in Grand Slams on clay. Yes, this guy is the future of tennis, but he hadn't done anything yet. He hadn't proven it yet. And you will get that in a lot of sports where people will rank the up and comers more than they should. And that can be a good laying opportunity. Yeah, go back on that player cam, because it's going to be a bit boring for everyone else who watches if I go through that again. But yeah, basically it's first half goal technique I use, because you can get very good odds. This is the key. It's always the key in trading. You've got to look for the value in the prices. Yeah, you're not going to get a first half goal every single match, not by a million miles. But what you will get is good enough odds that if you can hit more than 50% of the time, you should make money on that strategy. So yeah, I like that first half goal strategy. All right, guys, this is quite long, probably longer than I thought it was going to be. So I'm probably going to leave it there. I'm getting pretty tired. I imagine a lot of you guys are as well. Hope you've enjoyed this random live video, and thanks for watching. And most importantly, hope you make some money trading on Betfair this week. And thanks for contributing. You know, can't do it without you. Can't do any of this stuff without you.